Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochnick here. I'm here fashionably late, as some people say. Excuse me, I've got to get my laptop. Just 1 second. Here I am back again. Yes, a little bit late today. We've got already welcoming from good old Marcus Lawrence, which is AKA Munchie. Morning. Good to have you on, even though briefly. I know you've got to go off and do some work. Richard Vernon, who actually has a connection there. He can come on anytime he wants. His son Chris is due. David Graven is due. We've got quite a few due. I'm going to have a lot of surprises this series. Yes, I'm not in England. I'm not at Edgbaston. I'm actually in Australia, but that will change. I'm going to confirm now that I'm definitely going to be at Lord's. It may not be day one, but definitely by day two, I will be there. Manu, John, how are you? Yeah, Asher's got on you. Dinesh Chowdhury, I can see you there as well. Sellouts to today, it certainly is a sellout. I think pretty much the whole series is a sellout, although I've got a rather snotty seat that I'm working out. So we're here. Australia are playing England in yet another Ashes. Now, I'm normally there playing for the SCG11 on a tour against the likes of the Marylebone Cricket Club. How are you, Harsh Jeswa? Paul Newman's here as well. Quite a few Manu Johns there as well. We're all here. So we normally would be playing the SCG11 4 years ago when I met, actually, Chris Vernon, when we smacked MCC. No, he may have smacked us. I'm not sure. We played them there. In fact, it was at the Ashes of 2019. Unfortunately, the SCG11 are not touring for 2023, but I will be there. Now, I've had a lot of issues with property and my mother's passing and all sorts of other issues. Now, with less than 2 weeks to sort that out, which means I'll be able to fly out and head straight to the game at Lord's, yet another test series there. That'll be the second of the 5 tests in the Ashes. Of course, the first being in Edgbaston in Birmingham starting today, and literally an hour and 15 minutes, the game will start. And I'm pretty sure that we're in for a bottler of a game. Now, of course, as you know, they're going to call him this question there, Hazel to bowl. And I heard Brad Haddon talk a bit earlier today. Unless something dramatic happens, I think they're going to stick to the same side that won the World Test Championship, and that makes sense. England, we'll talk about England in a minute, but they've got an incredibly solid side. We'll get into the Australian side as well. But the fact is that Hazelwood can't justify his position, especially the way Boland played the last match. Mitchell Stark was under some doubt there, Paul, and like. So why Australia didn't celebrate like running from the boundary in the World Test Championship final? Well, I guess it was a big deal. They should have done so. They should have celebrated, but they have that subdued nature because within a week they're playing the Ashes. So that's probably why. Richard could be a very tough series for England, as the Aussies are very good. Expect all-out attack from the English batsmen. True, but I'm going to go early and say England will actually win this series. It's a bit like a state of origin in Australia was when New South Wales and Queensland. The Queensland's got too much heart. I think the English have too much heart on their home ground. And we've got some milestones as well with Steve Smith on 8,947 test runs, only some 53 away from reaching 9,000. Chris Vernon. Oh, my. A very mature looking. How are you, Chris?
Morning. I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Very, very well. Now, it's sad I'm not playing cricket against you, but I can promise you I'll be there for the Lord's Test. I've had a few confirmations that I'm going to hot tail on a business flight straight to London, straight to the game. Okay, I've even arranged some things with the Lord's ground for me, but we'll talk more about that later. Well, are you excited?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's on the telly now. They're on the build up already, and well, I guess the toss will be in 40 minutes or so. So, yeah, no, can't wait. It's going to be a good. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, Chris, I began to talk about the team makeups. I'll go into England. We can talk about England. Do you want to talk about England first?
Whatever you want. I'm happy.
Okay, well, let's start with England first. I was going to get into the Hazelwood Bowl and saga, but let's go to England first. England's test team announced very early, which I really like.
Yep.
Australia does that when they're confident. England are doing that because they're confident. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that England, I think it was pretty obvious what the sort of makeup of our side was going to be. There's probably only one slot that's been up for debate, and it still is a controversial one at the moment in the press and the media, and everyone's talking about whether you go Broad or Wood. I think that's the only. Apart from that, I think the side picks
Broad
itself,
or who?
especially if Mark
Wood.
Wood.
Yeah.
Or,
Okay,
to be fair, what I thought they might have done this series was have Anderson, Broad, and Robinson always play the two out of the three, probably Anderson and Robinson, but then rotate Wood and Josh Tongue. I thought looked pretty good at Lords. To be fair, I think he's a big lad who bowls quite quickly, and I think you just need. I think the plan will be for England to put out some flat wickets and say we'll just chase whatever Australia pick, and I think you need a differential with the bowling attack there, and an extra pace and bounce would have come with Mark Wood. But look, I think I think they've made a big issue of it in the media, but picking a bloke with 600 odd Test wickets, it's not the worst problem to have, is it? So
no. I mean, look, let's just go through the team itself. The team, and as I think you've just alluded to, picks itself. Really, you're saying the conjecture was between Broad and Wood, but it probably was the selection of Moeen Ali to an extent. That would be more of a conjecture, wouldn't you think?
not in this country, not according to the media and everything. It's once Leach had once Leach was injured, there's only one man for the job really. I think he fits into what we like in Bazball. Coming in at 8, he could be that lower middle order of Brook, Stokes, Bairstow, Ali, especially if the top 4 can set a base. On a flat wicket could go bananas against an Australian bowling attack. So
I'll be honest with you. I really think this England side is the most balanced England side I have seen in years. Ben Duckett and Crawley have established themselves as openers. Ollie Pope, big double century against Ireland. Root, we know how good he is. Harry Brook, we know how good he is. Ben Stokes, despite his knee, his ability to have presence there is great. Bairstow, incredible batsman and can keep. Would you have thought that Stokes there? Ben Folkes?
Yeah, I think Ben Folkes has been really hard done by. I don't think he's done anything wrong, has he? By the way.
Oh, hello. There it is. Our famous Laurel Hardy Cup. I love it.
I don't think Folkes has done anything wrong. He averaged over 40 in Test cricket and he's probably the best keeper, but they obviously you had to get Bairstow in. And the problem is, where do you not get him in? Brooks come in Bairstow's place and done ridiculously well. You can't drop Brooks, so the only other place would maybe have been to drop Crawley and open up with Bairstow or Folkes or Stokes maybe. But no, it's harsh on Stokes, but what else? I think they're always going to do it.
I think they've done the right thing with Bairstow, to be honest. Moeen Ali, his IPL form was fantastic and has been for some time. They won yet again CSK, which was amazing. Broad, Ollie Robinson, Anderson, lethal attack, and I think they put their best swing and seam bowling attack for the first match for a reason, to put a big stamp on the series. I think it'll be very important to get a very early victory. Hello, like father, like son.
Hi.
Here we have it.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good, Reg. How are you?
I'm good. I haven't seen my son for quite a long time. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, good. Thanks. I'm good.
I've moved to another part of the country, Norman, in case you didn't know.
I'm fully aware of your exploits. Both of your exploits.
I live in a different country now. I'm in Wales. For anyone who doesn't know, it had the geography of the UK. So Chris is in England and I'm in Wales. So
now you don't technically have divorces between father and son, but there's something going on that we shouldn't hear about here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had to move all this distance to get rid of him.
Now, okay,
you haven't been on for a while, or not much on. So you well?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm a bit chubby, but I'm fine. The reality is, I think going 24/7, 365 days a year is a bit too much. I had to taper it down. Now I'm going to rev. The next 6 months, you'll see nothing but me, because I'm going to be not only going to. Now, I promised to come to England. I'm still going to promise it. The Lord's Test, I'm going to be there, hell or high water, and from then on, I'm also going to be in Africa. I'm going to be running around Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Botswana, and also Namibia.
Wow.
So and I'm going to do a bit of Central America. I'm going to be at the Asia Cup, which will be both Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and the World Cup in India. So I'm running around like a blue ass fly in the true sense of the word, even though it's a swear word.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Chris will be at the.
So,
going to go to Lords? I think you probably will.
Yeah, I'll be there for
well,
that.
I'm going to try and get a swank hotel room, and I'll set up like a little studio, and you guys can join me there if you want.
I'll be there for the 2 of the first 3 days, I imagine, but we'll just have to see from there.
You don't know whether it's 1 and 2 or could it be 1 and 3. What will it be?
Just because I've got, it's a bit on. It's not too bad the travel and the train, so it's whether I just break up the days. Depends on if England are batting or not. I guess if Australia are batting on day 2, then I might come for day 3. But we'll see. I might do a 3. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm not too sure yet.
Okay, so will King Charles walk out and greet the players like the Queen did?
There's not been any talk of that in the press or anything, so not too sure about that. But we'll have to wait and see.
It's
I thought it was
traditional.
a tradition for that.
It's traditional that the monarch would go to day 2, or is it day 3? I don't think it's day 1. I think it might be day 2 at tea time.
It's not day. You're saying it's not day 1.
I'm not 100% sure. It's at tea time, isn't it?
Chris, do you remember? I got a feeling it was day 1.
I remember. I thought she greeted the players. Yeah, I thought she always greeted the players on day 1, but I could be wrong. Or maybe it was for the Lord's Test. I thought maybe the Lord's Test,
this is the
wasn't
Lord's
it?
Test.
So
yeah, Lord's.
not sure.
Not day 1 of this test in Birmingham. I'm talking about. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the England side for a minute. We know it's settled. We know who's in the team. There's no question. And as I said earlier, teams that select their side a day or 2 out from the test, to me, show an air of great confidence. The fact that Australia's squabbling with who's in the team up until the toss really shows a lack of defiance in their confidence. That's my opinion. What do you think of that?
No, I don't think so. I think that their only pick is Stark or Hazelwood, isn't it? I think it'd be ever so brave to pick Hazelwood when he's played, 2 games in 18 months? Would that be right, Norman?
No, but why didn't they decide that already? Why do they need to wait to the toss?
Well,
I don't think they'll pick Stark. I think they'll go Boland, Hazelwood, Cummings.
I think they'll play.
To me, that would be the smartest decision to make. To be honest with you,
Stark could go. Stark went at 5 and over against India, and we're gonna basically try and tee it up. He could go everywhere. So I think they'll.
Yeah,
I think Boland is your.
There's a lot of infighting going on.
Boland's your typical English seamer, isn't he? Like someone who'll bowl 25 overs a day for 60. Might not take loads of wickets, but they'll want someone that's
But they're going to go at him, Chris.
That just ties and end up.
Has he ever been good after Norman under the pressure? They're going to go for him. That's the only way England are going to bat. They're going to carry on aggressive. And it will Boland. Has he got the experience to deal with that? Someone's going to come at him. He's a line and length bowler. He's very good. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to actually come down to him to meet him and knock him off his line or his length more.
It's a hard one. It's really, look, I wouldn't be shocked if they go with Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark. Why? Because they're seen as the front runners in the team. Boland Cummins does a great job, but he's not seen as a front runner with 200 or 300 wickets behind him, as those 3 have got. Not unlike England with the likes of Anderson and Broad, same thought process. That wouldn't surprise me. If they were bold, I would do it like what Chris said about leaving Stark out. And if they were sensible, they would go with the same bowlers that bowled in the World Test Championship for obvious reasons.
Do you think they'll definitely? Do you think Hazelwood definitely plays?
I don't know.
Do you think they're confident he's 100% fit to go and bowl?
No, he's. To be honest with you, over the last 4 years, he's played 4 tests.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's 2 games in 18 months. I'm sure I heard that. You've got to be fit as a bowler. It's one of those disciplines where you've got to play to be fit. Haven't you? I mean, look, Anderson and Robinson haven't played for a month, have they, Chris? I think it's about a month.
No.
But I think they'll go.
But Anderson's Anne's looked really fit. Did you see him in the videos I've uploaded? My God, he looks fit.
He's bowling
Yeah.
better than he's ever bowled, Norman.
I think it's also it's a big nervous one with the British people that I think the last time James Anderson took a proper part in a home Ashes series was, I think he's missed the last 2 or last 3 for injury. So when they limped off in the county championship 6 weeks ago, I think everyone was like, "Oh, not again," but he seems fit. So
Well, okay. England's, we know that there's obviously confidently settled in their team. You all three of us have basically mixed up the Australian bowling lineup in our discussions. Heaven help what George Bailey's into at the moment, but I kind of think they're going to stick with the World Test Championship team to be fair to them, because they just won a World Test Championship, didn't they? So it would be fair to them to keep it.
I think that's what they'll do. I don't think Hazelwood plays, but I think he'll play at Lords. I think they'll play him at Lords with the slope. I think that'll help him more. But do you think Warner plays, Norman? Guaranteed, Warner plays.
Yeah, they've got no one else.
I think so. Yeah, they're not going to. Warner, well, they just won a World Test Championship with that batting lineup. They're not going to change that. If you won the pinnacle of Test Championships only a week ago with a certain batting order, you're not going to move that batting order, are you?
There's
no, but
he's
on last chance retirement saloon, isn't he?
Well, he said he's going to retire this winter, isn't he? So
yeah, Warner's cleverly announced his retirement for 2024 after a certain World Cup championship.
Sydney Test this year, wasn't it?
Correct. That'll be his last so-called test. So he's quite cleverly done that. I rather like that, because he could have been shoved out, but now he's decided to give a date, so they're going to hold him until a date, effectively.
Yeah, but does he play?
He's guaranteed himself a team spot until the January test now.
He averaged 9 in England last series. Last series, he averaged 9 in Norman.
No. Look, don't get me wrong. He doesn't. But the other question is, which everybody's saying here in Australia, is who do we put in his place? Because Marcus Harris is there. I don't know why. Will Pucovski's still back with his head injuries. They haven't selected anyone to really replace him in the position.
Yeah.
That's the other issue.
Yeah.
We don't have anyone to replace
the wicket. Have anyone seen
I can think of a few people, but he's going to go with his own
flat. That first, I reckon.
So we haven't left any grass on it.
I mean,
that's what I would have done.
I don't think so. No, I think that I think that Australia's biggest look, the Australian bowlers are hit the deck seam bowlers, Boland and Cummings especially. And if you leave grass on a wicket, you're opening up their strength. Whereas if you put a dead wicket out, a flat wicket, it negates their big seamers, and it also means it can still swing. So if it does swing and the Duke's ball can swing, I think that the only chance Australia have got this series if Cummings and Boland and Hazelwood have take loads of wickets, because I think otherwise I think we'll outbat Australia, especially in terms of run rate. So the only chance they've got is their big fellas taking loads of wickets on seaming wickets. So I don't think they would. I think they'd back us to outswing, to bowl better swing bowling than them, and then just whack it everywhere and outbat them.
Broad and Robinson aren't swing bowlers; they're seam bowlers.
Yeah, but Robinson's a swing bowler, can swing it, but they'll typically pitch it fuller. I think that's the key, isn't it? Australian bowlers tend to hit a length better and nick off, whereas our seam bowlers will pitch it up a bit fuller and try and get wickets in different ways, and I think that's the key. So, I think I would have picked Wood, but you can't really grumble with someone who's got 650 Test wickets. So,
yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I think that the problem was that Robinson were always playing, weren't they?
Robinson's our best bowler at the moment, in my opinion.
And Broad looked $1 million in the Ireland. I know it was only against Ireland, but he looked good, and he pitched it up. This is the difference, Norman. Broad is pitching it up all of a sudden in his later years, and so he's given the ball a chance to nick off. He might go for a few more runs, but he's actually getting it up there with the ball, and it's giving him a chance for the batsman to nick off. So
you've also got to remember that Australia's got 3 left-handers in the top 5, and arguably their best form batsman at the moment is Travis Head, who's a left-hander as well, and Broad bowls very well at left-handers. So, Anderson and Robinson will take wickets regardless. But if Broad can get out the top 2 or bowl well against the top 2 and then come on at Head, then it's a big thing. But I think Stokes will be used. Stokes is fit to bowl, but I think he's going to be used I'd be amazed if he doesn't come on to bowl when Travis Head comes on, and they'll just bowl short at him because looks good and he's been in ridiculously good form, but he doesn't like it when it's above waist high. And I think India missed a massive trick because every time India bowled short at him and tried to hit him in the throat, he didn't look like he could bat at all. So I think that'll be the plans ahead. Will be Broad will come on, bowl around the wicket, try and nick him off. But if not, Stokes will be used. I bet Stokes doesn't bowl much at all unless he has to, maybe at Head to come on and bowl short.
But has Ben Stokes playing hooky with his knee? Come on. There's a bit.
All the talk in the press this week, and he's bowled all week, and he's fine. I mean, it's strapped up, and he'll be injected up and drugged up, I'm sure. But
he's definitely not fine. He can hardly walk.
No, but he's good to go, I think.
All right, here's a question for him: will the wicket take spin?
All English wickets take spin coming into sort of day 4 or 5. I'd be and especially the summer we've had, Norman. You haven't been over here. We've had glorious weather for at least a month to 6 weeks. We've had 1 day of rain here in Wales in the last month, or that was only a heavy shower. Chris, you're the same south, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been lovely. Yeah.
So
all right. So okay.
Definitely spin.
Just quickly up front predictions for the series. Let's have them early, nice and early. Now Adam Hollyoak's not here. I had a chat with Adam the other day, so. He normally bags me that my predictions, but what do you reckon, guys?
I've got your prediction, Norman. I know what you're going to predict.
What?
Sharma to get 170 in the first
No,
test.
he won't. He's not playing, for God's sake.
Sorry, that's
your another championship.
Oh, and
I think that Harry Brook's going to score big in this match.
Well, he'll go for it. That's for sure. He doesn't bat slow. If anyone hasn't seen him play, he does the same in the one day as he'll do the same in the tests. It'll be run a ball.
I think it'll be. My prediction is 3-2 England. Now I saw Ivan Nicolau there says 2-all.
But the only way there's a draw. The only way I think there's going to be a draw is if if weather intervenes in a game, because
yeah.
I don't see the way England are playing at the moment, and this isn't me bigging up England, but the way they are playing, they could get bowled out for 110, which advances the game, or they're going to score 450 in a day, and that advances the game. So 5 days is
okay. The toss is important, as I think a few other people I think Manish Kumbale said the Edgbaston pitch looks more of a batting pitch. Toss will be important. If England win the toss, what will they do?
I don't know. I thought they'd bowl, but Ponting and Peterson have had a look at the wicket and said if it's a bat first day, so it's we'll have to wait and see.
Look, Norman, it's as simple as this: you should win the toss and bat anywhere. I'm an old-fashioned guy that says you should take advantage of the wicket first, especially on a lovely sunny day. You should bat and you should put the runs on the board. However, Stokes and this England team are throwing the rule book out the window, aren't they? They're just not.
I think England will bat first.
I think they'll bowl first.
You reckon they'll bowl first?
Yeah, I don't think they should. But I think back himself to chase 400 in the last innings. That's what I think he'll do.
Let's take a moment back. Robert Sharma won the toss and sent Australia to bat, and Australia scored a big total. So there's a mistake to be learnt from there, surely. If you win the toss, you got to bat.
Yeah, who doesn't bat first at the Oval on a sunny day, Norman? That's madness. I don't know what he was doing. It's the Oval, for God's sake. It's one of the...
Yes, because it was cloudy and overcast. But if you look at the forecast, you'd have worked out there's going to be for about an hour, and then the sun's going to come out. So
it's flat, isn't it? The Oval. It's flat as a pancake. You know, always. I'm 56. I've grown up watching cricket at the Oval. It's always the best pitch, isn't it, Norman? It's always.
I totally agree.
You've got to bat first.
Discussion about Steve Smith's back. Quietly, that he's not 100%. There's an interesting discussion about that. There is some concern about it, to be honest with you, because he's apparently getting a lot of physio and a lot of therapy, and you know, I mean, not to say he won't play, but it'll be interesting. All right, Stokes knee, Smith's back, 2 problem areas. Hazelwood in general is another fitness worry. Is Ollie Robinson fit?
Yep.
I think
I
they
don't think he was not fit. I think they just managed it in the press. I think he had a sore calf or a sore hamstring, and I think they just wanted to make sure he's been good. But I think he'll take the most wickets for us this series.
All
That's my
right, I've
prediction.
gone out and said 3-2. A number of our viewers have said 2-1 and 3-2. You guys both haven't put your neck out yet. Why are you scared?
I think we'll win the series 3-1.
I don't think there'll be
Right.
only if there's a draw because of the weather. That's the only reason. I'm going to think that there won't. Even if we lose a day, the way England are going at it, I think Australia are going to win the series. Norman 4-1 or 3-2.
Hang on, did you say Australia's going to win the
Yeah.
series?
I think we're going to
No
get
chance.
found out for our batting at the top of the order. I think that won't perform at all. I don't see Crawley as shouldn't be there. And I think that will put pressure on Pope, who's very good, but he's going to be exposed early every game, I think. And I think Root will then get exposed early too. I think we're going to find ourselves 30 for 2 a lot. And then
I
that's
can't believe you're saying this. Is this why you're in Wales now, not in England? Because you're running away from something? Or what is this?
I'm trying to talk cricket, Norman, what I think is sensible. But I do think it's going to be exciting watching Brooke, Stokes, Bairstow, and Ali come in. That if that doesn't excite people who love cricket, because they're all going to absolutely go for it. It'll be.
England bat distinctly longer than Australia. Distinctly longer.
9-10 Jack isn't much good, but Robinson can hit it. Broad can hit it. They'll have a slog too.
Yeah, Robinson can bat.
Yeah, but he'll just have a bit of a slog, won't he? That's the way he's been going, isn't he, Chris? He's not been getting his head down.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Between us three in the first 27 minutes, and in fact the entire press week of videos from all sorts of people, no one has mentioned a thing about Joe Root.
He's not been in great form, has he? He's not played much. He sat in the IPL and didn't play, did he? I think he went out to the IPL. I'm not sure.
What did he score in the last Test match? Did he score a century?
No,
50 odd. Got 50 odd.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's gone past 11,000 Test runs.
Yeah,
he's doing magnificently well. In fact, he's the 17th on the list, and he's 11,000. He's going to go careering towards the top 10 very shortly. The way he's going, he could even surpass Cook as the leading run getter for England.
Yeah.
And then you've got, of course, the likes of, in Australia's sense, Smith's been about to go past 9,000. He hasn't even played 100 Test matches, which is pretty remarkable.
He's a special talent, Norman Smith, because he's unconventional, isn't he? He's annoying as hell to bowl at, I would imagine. But he's mentally unbelievably strong, don't you think?
Okay, I'm going to predict that even though Travis Head got a massive score in the World Tour, I think he's going to cluck it here. He's going to stuff it in this series. Broad and Anderson, as Chris said earlier, will find him out.
He's not a Test match player, in my opinion.
I don't think so.
I did look.
Travis Head?
Yeah, I don't think he's a Test match player.
Well, I mean, you can check his stats out in the last 3 years would suggest that averaging 60 in Test cricket, you're not doing too badly, are you?
I just don't think he is. I hope he'll get found out.
Oh, look,
I hope he'll get found out too, but you can't.
Data's joined us again. He hasn't been before.
Look, Cameron Green, Norman. Talk to us about him. He's a bit special, isn't he?
Oh, okay. Can we just go back to that catch? Was it a catch or was it not a catch?
I think it was pretty harsh on Shubman Gill. It's tricky, isn't it? Because I think that the rules are the rules, and if you've got no conclusive evidence, then I think they came on the next day and said there's no conclusive evidence to suggest it has been grounded, then you have to stick with the fielding side. I think that's the ECB guidelines, isn't it? So
I think, Norman, they've got to take out of the game the third umpire on these sorts of catches. You've got to leave it on field. If the umpires can't see it, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make sense here. These replays do not give you an idea whether it's a clean catch.
No,
they
I agree.
Shorten the angle, and they often give it not out, and you think he's definitely got his fingers under the ball without a doubt. and it makes. I think it complicates it more. You got to go on the honesty of the players, the honesty of the other. Do you know what, Norman? The other fielders around Green would know whether he caught that or not. They're right next to him. He's in the gully, wasn't he?
When he took the catch, when he dropped the catch.
Yeah, when the catch he
Yeah,
took.
these things happening in less than a
He
half a
was second
second,
flip,
aren't
I
they?
think,
So
when he caught the catch.
it's split
Yeah.
second.
Don't tell me that first slip, third slip, gully, cover point don't know where he's caught that clean or not. Of course they do. They're right by him. They'll know if he caught it. I stood in the cricket field. I know if someone's caught the catch. It goes quick, but you know. And look, I don't know. I think TV replays do not help the matters at all with these catches. You think he grabbed it?
I agree. All right, so Cameron Green versus. Oh, okay. Quickly before we talk about it, Siddharth says he thinks England are going to take revenge of the last few Ashes. Well, the Ashes that we've had in Australia, at least, yes. I think England have got more hunger in this test. Australia has just come off a
When the last time
massive
Australia won a test series? Do you know when the last time Australia won a test series in England was?
1990, 2001 maybe.
2001. So there was all this hype when we won in Australia for the first time in 25 years. Well, it's been 22 years since Australia won here. So, and we're a better side than we were 4 years ago, I think. So, I don't see Australia beating us. I think it could be a good series.
I totally agree.
I don't think Australia have got the batting to beat us over here this year. I could be wrong. They're reliant on 2, maybe 3 blokes. Cameron Green looks promising, but has never really delivered yet.
He had a good IPL series, that's for sure. He came into that, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I think he's brilliant. I think he's
IPL's different from having it bouncing around your ears a little bit more, isn't it? With 4 slips.
We've not got the bowlers to bounce a 6'8" bloke on a flat one. So
you know that Stokes, Norman, isn't going to go defensive in his fields either. Even when we're under the cosh and you're going well, he is not going to put a big outfield and to sort of wait for it to happen. He's going to carry on going for it. So you could score massive runs very quickly, but he's not, because he's going to carry on supporting the bowlers to take wickets. It's a different approach. It's a massively different approach to cricket. It's very exciting to watch. It means we could get absolutely hammered, England, by doing it, but he's not going to back down, even if we get.
Don't you like that about him? Don't you like the fact that he's not going to just become defensive? I love that.
Cricket has to survive. We have to survive, and by that we can't be back in the 70s. We can't be Chris Tavares, if anyone remembers him.
We haven't got no one's in the side that resembles a Tavares. Not
exactly.
even close.
It's why Moeen Ali's back, isn't it? He absolutely fits what they want to do. I wouldn't have gone back to the guy who said he wasn't going to play anymore and hasn't played a red ball game for 2 years. Is that right, Chris?
But Moeen Ali could get on there. Moeen Ali could go into a second innings and open the batting.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd get any runs if he did that, but you get more than Crawley maybe. Yeah, I mean it's an attacking pick, so that's what you're going to see. But
why are you so against Crawley, Reg? What's Crawley? Didn't he got some good scores not long ago?
Well, he's averaging in Test cricket, and he's been given a really good run at it. He's not just played 5 tests. Chris, what's he played? 15, 18 tests? Must be at least that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's averaging 25, maybe 28.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's have a look here. His batting average is 28. He scored 1,700 runs in 34 Test matches. He scored 3 centuries and 8 50s. It's not exactly nothing.
34 Test matches, Norman. You just said it. 34 Test matches. He's averaging under 30 as your opening bat. It's not good enough. No way.
Yeah, okay.
They dropped Graham Hick all those years ago because he was averaging 37, I think.
All right, but I would call him scoring a really good century not that long ago, playing for Tests.
He got 100 in Pakistan, didn't he? But
well, let's see how he goes against Stark and Cummins, Norman.
Yeah, okay. But do you think? Okay, let's go back to one thing. Ireland Test against England. England thumped them. Okay, England were all over like a rash. It was a good, solid win. England looked great, and it was only a 4-day test, wasn't it? It wasn't even a 5 days. Australia looked good against India in the World Test Championship because of their batting early on. Their bowling, Boland bowled well and Lyon bowled well, but I don't really think Cummins and Stark, excelled. So I just think if England get the opportunity to bat first and bat well, Australia are going to be in for a bit of trouble. I don't think Australia will handle batting second in this match. I think
We're
England will win.
35 minutes in, Norman, and you haven't mentioned your favourite player. Is that because he shouldn't even be anywhere near the team?
Travis Head,
No.
Australian player.
Yeah, your favourite. Your absolute favourite player. Usman Khawaja, Norman.
Yes, now look, he's quietly gone under the radar. He throughout the World Test Championship cycle was the leading player, I believe, and he's not going to be forgotten. He is class, and he
He's
will
out of form, Norman.
out of form.
He is out. How did he go in last Australian summer? Didn't go so well, did he?
Yeah,
Scored a packet,
two
didn't he?
centuries in one match. Was that last summer?
He's quiet.
He scored
He's
loads.
in quiet form compared to what he was doing.
I think if anyone in that upper order is going to survive against England, it'll be Khawaja.
You reckon?
Yeah, I don't see. I don't think he's an English player. He's a good Australian player, good in the subcontinent, good against spin. But I think India showed in the first test in the World Test Championship. If you pitch it up, he doesn't really come forward. He hangs a bit, doesn't he? Like he's very good off the back foot. So I think when pitch it up driving, I think he'll nick off a little bit.
Well, they're saying a lot here in the press about the importance of our openers. If Khawaja want to get good starts, Australia's chances of winning go through the roof. You can say the same thing about England as well. But I actually think it's more in the bowlers. And I believe that the England bowlers will excel and Australia will struggle. Except for Boland. Boland will do pretty well. But I just don't think Cummins is bowling that well, to be honest with you.
No, he didn't look. He looked a bit out of sorts, didn't he? In the World Test Championship. I mean, he's going to be fine, and he's going to pump himself up for an Ashes series, isn't he? So I'm not too worried about Cummings in terms of form. I think he'll be just fine. It's Stark. What they do with Stark, I think, is the issue because he could go like Mitchell Johnson did that summer here when he won one test at Headingley where he bowled speed light. But apart from that, I think Strauss and co whacked him everywhere. So.
Yeah,
I think Australia's chances come down to Labuschagne, Smith, Head in the middle order. I think, and if they have a good summer, then they got every chance. I mean, Travis Head not bad for a non-cricketer, averaging 50 over 40 Test matches in Test cricket. It's not too bad.
I'm going to stand here right now and say he'll be a lesser person compared to what he did in the World Test Championship. He's had his big moment there. This is another thing. The psychological impact of winning a World Test Championship one week, playing the Ashes the next. It's actually not that easy to come down from a very big high or to stay up after a big high. Don't you think?
They'll be up for this, Norman. I think they'll be up for it. It's the Ashes, for God's sake. And as Chris rightly said, 22 years since the Aussies won here. That'll be hurting. But
that will be hurting, but it'll also psychologically be a barrier.
Yeah. It's interesting what you just. I think if England do get off to a good start in any of the games, early doors, if the opening bats do get us off to a good start, I think England win that Test match because I think our batting lower through that middle order is going to be explosive. And so if you've got 70 or 80 on the board quick to start with, I think they will kick on massively against that. I'm not sure whether the Australians are quite as explosive, but I think they're going to. Do you think they're going to be lured into this to play like that? Norman? You don't.
No.
You think that all the press, think they're not going to change their ways.
Except for Head, the rest won't do it. I predict England will win the first match, and Australia will win the second, and then England it'll become quite a tussle, but England will come on top and win either the third or fourth. But I think England will win the first.
I think Edgbaston is usually a good hunting ground for England. I think Lords is a terrible place for England. So I agree with you,
Australia
Norman.
usually wins at Lords, don't they?
Yeah, but I think England will win at Headingley. Headingley's this sort of mythical venue, isn't it? Botham 81, Stokes last time out. And we tend to play well at Headingley. We did lose recently though, there, didn't we, Chris? We lost one.
Yeah, that's when Mitch Johnson had a good test in
But
2015. Or
but I've got to say that I'd expect Headingley can swing around a bit, Norman, because of the air pressures there and the way the ground's built.
Oh, no doubt.
And Trent, we have got a game at Trent Bridge, haven't we? Have we?
no test. It's Old Trafford.
So
I mean,
what are the 5 tests? Chris, go through them for me. Clearly,
Right.
Edgbaston
I think it's Edgbaston, Lords, Old Trafford, Headingley, or Headingley, Old Trafford, and then the Oval.
I mean, why wouldn't we play the Aussies at Trent Bridge? It's our
Right.
absolute ace #1 ground for us to play on.
I love that ground. I think it's tremendous
But
ground.
we play well there. We play well at Trent Bridge. That's one of those grounds. But Birmingham is a big support ground for England. It can be really, really boisterous there, can't it, Norman? At Edgbaston.
Absolutely. Where did Ben Stokes get his big century with Leach and won the game? Where was
Headingley.
that?
Headingley, Norman.
Headingley.
Headingley.
Yeah.
Headingley's the ground. I'd be surprised if we do lose at Headingley. But I think Old Trafford. I think your bowlers will play well there. It's pace and bounce. We'll play Mark Wood at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I don't know how long for the toss. I've got it on behind me. I've got the TV on behind me.
5 minutes.
Oh, England.
Yeah, toss is not far away. Look, I'm really concerned about the Australian bowling lineup surviving the 5 tests without injury. Hazelwood is iffy at best, right? Stark is rather iffy, and even Cummins, who can't not be as long as he's captain, could also have an issue. And if 2 of those 3 go down, we're in some trouble.
Yeah, that comment you just put on screen, Norman, about England mindset is rubbish. Stokes has got the England mindset absolutely as better as any sports team that's ever been in the world. He has done something to that sports team, whether it's cricket in this case, that has revolutionised the sport. It's unbelievable what he's done.
I've just got to go for 2 seconds. I've got a phone call.
They will go positive, Norman. There's not going to be a mindset problem, and if we get beaten in the first test, whatever, it will not change their mindset at all. They're going to carry on going for it. We might lose 5-0, and they'll carry on going for it. So
yeah, look, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem with mindset at all. Whoever, people watching, they'll just go, yeah, I agree with what Adam says. I think Cummins is one of the great bowlers, but he's a little bit out of form. It happens, doesn't it? It happens, Norman.
Well, because the pressure of being captain. Come on, that's a huge reason why he's not able to perform at his best.
Yeah, it's very hard for a fast bowler to be captain. It's traditionally, I'm not saying it's never worked, but generally bowlers do not make the best captains going through the history of the game. And I know someone's going to come out with someone who's been brilliant, Imran Khan and all that, possibly. But generally, it's usually an opening bat or a top 4 batsman who make the best game. I mean, Stokes is an all-rounder. All-rounders generally don't make best captains because they're stupid, aren't they? All-rounders. Name me a clever all-rounder. They're normally a bit dim.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Okay, I'm just waiting. I'm not so. We're a few minutes away from the toss. There's nothing being hinted at. There's certainly no caps being given out, so there's no new players in either side. That's one thing for sure. They're not testing anyone new, are they? In this early part of the series. In fact, there's no one in sight, all except Tung is now officially has played for England. Hasn't he? What do you think of him?
Needs to be quicker, doesn't he? But he's got height.
No, he looked pretty. He bowls 90 mile an hour. He looked quick at Lords. I was up there at Lords, and he looked sharp. And obviously, Lords is flat and dead, isn't it? So stick him on a quick wicket. I think he might play this series. I think him and Wood might rotate round in a couple of the tests. We'll see.
Well, I think Tung, Wokes, and Wood will all going to go at some stage.
Yeah, Wokes
I don't think Wokes should play.
I
think that the Broad Anderson fact in the first test match tells me that they want to win this first test match well and truly. They're putting their best guns blazing this first match, aren't they?
Yeah. if we go well in this first Test match, Norman, I don't see why they'd change it for Lords. I mean, Broad and Anderson at Lords, I don't see why you wouldn't play them, and Robinson would play as well. It's the slope, it's a different sort of pitch, isn't it? You know, but they'll change it for Old Trafford though.
They made an interesting, rather sad point. This is the first time in 30 years that Shane Warne hasn't been either on the field or in the stands or in the commentary box.
Very sad.
I thought that this morning, actually.
Hold on. I've got the telly on behind me, guys. Hold on.
Well,
I was going to watch the toss.
The toss
Norman might be on delay.
If you want a live toss, hold on. Bear with me.
well, you guys will get a better vision of the actual toss than I will.
Yeah, you'll be slightly delayed there, Norman, won't you?
Yeah, we'll be delayed. Channel 9 have got it. You know what was really upsetting? I'll tell you what was really upsetting in Australia. Channel 7 had the World Test Championship, but only the World Test Championship, right? They didn't talk about the Ashes lead up at all. They talked about the Big Bash in December. So in every break, they talked about the Big Bash and interviewed Moses Enriques and all these fringe players. They didn't talk about the Ashes. I was so pissed off that I'm watching a World Test Championship and they're not talking about the Ashes. They're talking about some lame BBL in 6 months' time. Now, Channel 9 have got the Ashes.
Yeah. Who's
you get my point? They had a duty, Channel 7, to talk about the Ashes. Even though they weren't telecasting, they should have talked about it. They did not mention a word about it in any of the discussions during the breaks or the lunch breaks. They talked about the BBL. I was so upset. I thought, I don't want to talk about the BBL. It's a lot of crap, and it's months away. And they were saying, oh, Moses Enriques has got a 3-year contract. Who cares? I want to talk about the Ashes and the World Test Championship. I was so upset.
Norman,
are they out there tossing?
Looking at the pitch at the moment, it has not got any grass on it at all.
Well, that's interesting.
It looks like an absolute belter.
England are batting.
England won the toss and the batting.
Is that right? I haven't got it. How come you? It's massive
Chris,
delay.
did you say England won the toss and the batting?
Yeah. England, Cummings called wrong. Called tails, came ahead. And Stokes instantly said, we're back.
All right, I'm on slight delay.
Looks
So
dry.
who's
and it
deciding
looks
on the
flat.
side?
I'm going to tell you, Norman.
And we're going to tee it up.
There you go. England, I've got a prediction then, Norman, for you. I've got a day one prediction. I think England will score 385 runs today. A massive score. 385 in a day.
I think so.
Or we'll be bowled out by 3 o'clock.
Not on this wicket. I don't think Australia bowled us out on this wicket today. I think England will be 421 for 6 at the close.
Wow.
Is Stark dropped? What's going on? Am I hearing?
I don't know. He haven't said anything yet. I'll let you know when it comes up. They're still interviewing Stokes.
So okay, let me get this right. Cummins tossed the coin, and Stokes calls.
No, the coin is tossed by the England captain. The home captain always tosses the coin, doesn't he? No,
Cummins called
Cummins
tails.
called wrong.
Here we go.
So who tossed the coin? I thought it was Cummins.
No, I don't think so.
That's what Chris, did you
Stark
say
out.
Cummins?
No Stark.
Huh?
No Stark.
No
Stark.
Stark. Wow. So both sides have gone in with a sort of samey bowling attack, haven't they? All right.
So no Stark. Hazelwood and Boland are both in.
Yeah.
You can't drop Boland, can you? He averages 15 in Test cricket or something.
Okay. Well, that's a better side. That's a better Australian side than I would have given credit for. Okay. Well, but also we're gonna rely on the fact that Hazelwood's fit. Just Chris, one more time. Cummins tossed the coin. Chris, did Cummins toss the coin?
No, he called tails and called wrong.
Who called tails?
Cummins. The away side always calls.
Sorry, the England side toss. Okay.
Yeah. Norman, I've got something to say here. I think the Australians are running scared a little bit with that selection.
Oh, for sure.
I think that they're afraid to pick Stark because of the way England have been playing with their batting. And I think that's a big psychological hit for England to start the Test series. I think that to not pick your left arm spearhead pace bowler because they're worried that he might go for a few runs is a massive thing for England. I'll be in that changing room. I'll be saying that to the players. They're running scared already, boys.
I would agree.
You know, that's why they haven't picked him. They picked a guy who's played 2 games in 18 months who's just been bowling in the nets because he's a line length bowler, and they're worried about. Now it might work, but I think that Stark, he's your strike bowler, isn't he?
Let me just. I'm just having a look. Hang on. I'm just gonna check something here. Hang on. I'm offline for a second. I'm just gonna there's the
teams.
I've got the team sheets. I should have looked at that first, to be honest. I should have looked at that first. It was wrong of me not looking at that first. Okay, there it is. There's the forwarding of the. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Hang on.
You see, we've got
So,
we've got comments coming on that I'm talking a load of old rubbish. Maybe I am. I often do. But I think if you have a spearhead bowler, that's what Stark is. He's your spearhead, and you decide not to play him, then
I agree.
Reasons. He played last week, for God's sake. It's not as though he's not fit. They decided that he isn't good enough to play here. And there must be a reason for that. And they're playing a guy who's basically not played a game. When did he last play, Hazelwood? Norman, how long has he been injured for? It's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think that imagine if Hazelwood goes down injured or lame in the first overs, then they're in huge trouble.
Yeah.
Are they?
Because Cameron Green's unproven, isn't he, at this sort of level certainly in England. Tell me about his bowling, Norman. He's not going to bowl you 20 overs a day sort of guy, is he?
No. Australia, I think this is, to me, a reflection of a real problem. I think personally, I think we're in for a really troublesome.
Cummings is the strike bowler, isn't he? Really, if you look at stats and everything, Cummings' record will go down as probably the best seamer one of the best seamers ever. You know, he averages 20 in Test cricket. Nearly 250 Test wickets at 21 or something like.
Yeah, but Chris, if you've got a left arm quick like Stark,
I don't disagree, but he's been massively out of form, and Boland has forced their hand, hasn't he? I don't think that they ever would have thought that they wouldn't pick Stark, but Scott Boland in these conditions and form has made him undroppable. And Hazelwood's got a very good record in England, and he's quick and he bowls well.
Say again, Norman. Say again.
Mitchell Stark's been made 12th man.
Strange that.
Yeah, get him carrying the drinks in the heat.
Yeah.
This is a rather. I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I think this is a rather dubious decision. I think they've made a mistake. Especially, we'll see very soon. We'll see very soon how Hazelwood goes, but
he'll take the new ball, Norman, won't he? Chris, Hazelwood will take the new ball, won't he? Boland.
No.
Yeah, Hazelwood's a proper bowler. He played a bit in the white ball stuff, but his record's ridiculous. He's a proper bowler. If he's fit, he's an automatic selection, like without a doubt. Like he's not. If he's fit, he walks into that side. There's never he's not a one or the other. He plays without a doubt. So
yes, bowling,
it's seriously
fit and bowling fit is a very different thing, isn't it?
Of
Chris,
course,
Norman's a bowler. He'd understand this. Norman is very different from bowling.
I'm a trundler.
Norman's a bowler.
Sorry,
I'm a trundler, not a bowler.
I think the biggest test for Australia will be adapting to how England are going to take it on batting wise, because India went over 4 and over in the Test match, and they weren't looking at going at 6, and England will try and score a run of ball, and it'll be how Boland copes, how Cummings copes with blokes. Harry Brook's going to run down the wicket and stick him over his head first ball. It's going to be that kind of approach, and it's how quickly Australia adapt to it, because I have no doubt that they're going to win a Test match or bowl England out really cheaply at some point. It's just how quickly they adapt to it. The South Africans bowled us out for 100 in the first Test at Lords last year, and they just kept bowling the same, and we just kept whacking it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their fields, how much of a role Nathan Lyon plays, because I think that'll be an interesting one. If the wickets spin, he's got to outbowl Moeen Ali, because this looks dry. And I think that's England would always want to chase, but the fact that they've instantly batted would suggest that it's going to spin.
This is a dramatically interesting start to the test. England can really put their Bazball into overdrive now, can't they?
They're showing some highlights of previous games here, from previous series and going back, and the wickets have got a tinge of green to them, as a typical English wicket does, Norman. This wicket, I've just seen it this morning, has got no tinge of green on it at all. It is exactly what Chris predicted, I think. They've taken the grass off it. They're going to try and take the Aussies on with a bit of swing, and it will spin, Norman. We've got, who bowls your second spin option? Is it Labuschagne or Smith? Is that what you've got?
Well, they're a joke, seriously.
Because Joe Root's not the worst as a second sort of backup spinner.
I know he's better.
I'm not saying he's brilliant, but he can certainly get a few overs, and he got wicket against Ireland. I think he got a wicket. He's no mug, and if it's going to turn in the fourth innings, Moeen does give it a rip. He will turn it a bit, won't he? So that could be interesting coming on. This could be.
I'm very intrigued with. I would have thought they would give the same team, the World Test Championship, another run. Honestly,
Yeah.
That's what, because it's going to. Stark will be deflated now, very deflated.
Yeah.
And if Hazelwood's underdone, right? He's underdone, no doubt.
Yeah, he might bowl brilliantly, but we all know that bowling in the nets is absolutely not the same as bowling in the middle.
Absolutely, you're right. That is exactly right.
They talk about match fit, especially for bowlers. Batsmen, it's not quite the same, but it still counts. But as bowlers, match fit is bowling in the middle in competitive games. Very interesting selection, I think. And you're right, Cummins has been slightly off form. Great bowler, don't get me wrong. Great bowler, but, form does come and go a little bit. Everyone goes through a little patch, and he's been a little bit off, isn't he? So
if England can score a 350, 400 total, or if not more, Australia are on the back foot immediately. Hazel is not 100%. Cummins not bowling that well. Puts pressure on Boland to succeed on his own. Recipe for a disaster, if you ask me.
If Australia, Norman, don't bowl England out today, England are going to score, as Chris said and I said, 400 minimum. They've been going in the last 13 tests at a run a ball in every test venue, in Pakistan, against Ireland, everywhere, against everyone. They've been going at 6 and over. Well, if they bowl 90 overs, they're scoring 500, Norman. I've never seen that.
I'm going to stick to 3-2 as my breakup. That's Australia playing at their best. You're saying that's 3-2 England's way. England 3-2. England 3-2. England 3-2. You're saying 3-1, Chris? Correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think England will win the series, and I think England will win the series. There you go.
I think Australia.
And you're saying, Reg, they're going to lose the series?
Yeah. Although
on what basis? How can you say that England are going into bat here, score 400? They're going to smash the first match, maybe lose the second, win the third. So
no, I think they lose at Old Trafford. I think England will lose at Old Trafford. I don't know. It's difficult. I think that's a good toss to win. I think that's a very, very good toss to win.
If you want to put a stamp in your own home country in a Test series, you've got the opportunity now, haven't you?
As cricket, most of cricket's played in the head anyway, Norman, as we know. It's massively played in the head. If we get a massive day out here today, it would be a big marker for the whole series, couldn't it? Psychologically, it could.
We've got to also remember that Edgbaston's probably our biggest ground in terms of atmosphere, and if we get in the sun and get a few beers in those people and we're 300 for 2 or something, then it could be a long day for Australia, and I think they'll look to try and bury them early.
Yeah, I agree.
I predict that Hazelwood will not bowl much today. Cummins will overbowl himself. Boland will be steady but not overwhelming, and Lyon won't get a chance to do much. So that leaves not very much in the tank there. England should be absolutely, brimming at the moment.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm impressed with Ben Duckett, by the way. I think he's great.
He's a nice little player. Norman. He plays very different from anything else. He's going to hang on the back foot and put you through backward point and gully sort of area. That's his areas of scoring.
They
He'll
also
play the
complement each other quite well as well. If you think about it, they've got a 6'3", 6'4" right-hander who comes forward, and then you've got a 5'7" left-hander who likes to go back and cut and pull. So if they can keep, I think strike rotation and stuff like that's important because it's hard for bowlers to adjust because a good length to Crawley is not a good length to Duckett. So it's interesting, isn't it, how to see how the Australians cope with that as well.
It's not unlike the World Test Championship when India sent Australia to bat. And they got the match. This is exactly the same mirror image of that for England. And it tells me one thing and one thing only, that they're gonna. I'd be shocked if they don't get a big score in the first innings. I really would.
Let's hope. We'll see. Norman, I'm going to leave you guys. Let you and Chris have a chat longer. Because
all right, we might finish there anyway. But Richard, thanks for that very much so. And Chris, I will definitely be with you. We'll get a nice spot somewhere around Lords to do our thing over there. That'll be a lot of fun. And David Graving was supposed to be here today. He was going to try and make. We'll get David. We'll get Munchie. We'll get you two. We'll get Adam Hollyoake. He'll be floating around all together, physically sitting somewhere. How about that?
Is Smokey over in the UK, Norman?
He's over here at the moment, I think.
Is Adam Hollyoake over?
Adam had a dinner at the Oval during the week.
Fantastic.
He was the head guest.
That's fantastic. It'll be an honour to meet him.
Monty's floating around too. We'll get him.
And of course, we're all set for the challenge, Norman. The Vernon versus Koch challenge.
We'll have a next. I have to get something going on the next. We'll have to video that for sure.
Because you're going to get murdered by Chris. You know that. You better wear all your padding. Well, you've got lots of padding on automatically, Norman. But
you have no idea how I'm going to look forward to smacking Chris all over the joint. And my little wobblers, he'll have no idea how to handle them. I mean, I'm Norman Warren for a reason.
That is going to be. You will get 1 million viewers for that, Norman. You versus Chris as a little challenge.
It's going to actually be embarrassing for Chris. Chris will walk out embarrassed.
Yeah. You mean Munchie as umpire, by the way, because he's like David Shepherd. He's shaped the same way as.
All right, so you two will get Munchie. Hopefully, we'll get David Gravity. Simon Willis is obviously in Hong Kong. He's coaching Hong Kong, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Simon actually a little bit. I've seen Simon recently, and he's well. He sends his best. I saw him a couple of times before he went.
Did you?
Yes, I had a couple of one-to-ones with him actually. I had a couple of bats with him, so.
Yeah. So he's a top bloke, isn't he?
Norton 10. Well done.
So here's another question. I will be in India for the World Cup, 50 over World Cup in October, November. I'll be at the Asia Cup in Pakistan and Sri Lanka in September.
Brilliant. I've got to go, guys. Have a great day. Take care.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, Reg. Thanks. Thank you. All right. I want your summation, your exquisite comments. You're saying, like me, England will win the series. You're saying 3-1, Chris?
Yeah, I think England will win. I think England are in very good form. I think Australia played well at the Oval, but I think they looked a bit rusty to start with. There are a few drop catches, few no balls, and I think that England are just coming into it with a lot of confidence. Whereas I think Australia are obviously confident, and if you can't get up for a away Ashes series, then you're never going to. But I just think England have something about them at the moment that just has an air of sort of invincibility. And I'm not saying it's because they are. I think that's because that's how they think. And well, look, everyone's been saying they haven't played anyone, or this Bazball's only worked against some of the worst sides. Well, we did it against India, New Zealand, South Africa at home last year, and we did it against Pakistan away. You know, those three sides, India, New Zealand, South Africa, in England are probably the three best bowling attacks. Like, take out Australia. South Africa have got the best seam attack in the world. They've got no batting. But Janssen, Nortje, Rabada and Ngidi, that's probably the best all-round seam attack in world cricket, I would suggest, in terms of pace, swing. We did it against Bolt, Southee in England. We did it against Shami and Bumrah as well. And then we did it in Pakistan against their spinners. So we've done it pretty consistently so far. And if our plan is to bat first and flat wickets, then... Yeah, no, exactly. So, no, I mean, I'm really excited for the series. It's going to be an interesting one. So we'll just have to see how we go.
All right. Well, that's great parting words. We've got some 12 minutes before the game. I'm going to let you settle down and watch the match if you want.
All right, yeah, I'm going to go now. I've got a little bit of work to do while I watch, but no, I'm very much looking forward to it. That's for sure.
All right. We'll talk more. Thanks, Chris.
No worries. Have a good one, mate.
All right. It's great having
See you
Chris on
soon.
the show, isn't it, everyone? It was all great to have Chris and Reg. It was magnificent. It was really, really good. So I'm just going to look at this NRL, this Ashes test. I've got to log on to the free email. Okay. I thought I've done this before. We're going to actually bloody well log on here. So it's gmail.com. I'm just logging on, guys. I can't get it. I'm going to see the password. Going to come up in a minute on my screen. There it is there. Still here. Norman's changed his party saying, no, I'm not. I said 3-2, actually. 3-2. I'm saying 3-2. 3-2. Chris said 3-1. And of all people, Reg said Australia wins. I find that one really hard to comprehend, especially because it is English. But I mean, okay, all right, there we go. All right. There we have it. So let's have a look here. Continue. Password. Here we go. Just logging on, guys. Let's have a look here. So we've got Ashes is starting up.
Committed to developing your trade alliance.
So yes, and I'm positioned here where, well, Monty too. Yes, we'll get them all. So when I get to London, we're going to have Chris Vernon, Reg Vernon. We'll have Munchie, Adam and Monty. I'm trying to get as well, and David Graveney. There's what 2, 3, 4, 6 people at least, and other people I'll bring in. I'll have other guests that'll come on there. It'll be fantastic. So we're only looking at a matter of now some, what, how many minutes does it to go? I'm just going to look, 9 minutes, is it 9 minutes before the game actually starts? People should be watching my YouTube. On YouTube. We're waiting for that to restart here, guys. So we've got okay. So there's a bit of there's a movie on Shane Warne that seems to be being showed. Of course, he's upset because he didn't make the actual didn't make the AFL as well. So I'm saying 3-1. Sorry, 3-2 in the Ashes series out of 5 tests. Chris Vernon's saying 3-1, which implies that one match will be drawn or washed out, perhaps. And in the case of Reg Vernon, he's actually saying 3-1 as well, which is a bit of a worry. So they're now showing these Shane Warne movies on, and major event starting Sunday, the 25th of January. Shane Warne show is on coming on actual. Well, it's like a repeat of his career through actors. It's interesting, very interesting indeed. So here we have it, Channel 9. Out comes Alistair Cook with the Ashes in his hand, I can see. Alistair Cook's walking out with the lovely crystal trophy of the Ashes and the actual so-called real Ashes. He's walked out to the middle here at Edgbaston in Birmingham. The pitch, the England flag and the Australian flag are out there. And Alistair Cook looks like he can go out there and bat right now. He looks fit. We've got Aaron Finch and Stephen O'Keefe there for Channel 9 commentating. Here comes Ben Stokes coming out. Of course, England have won the toss and are batting. So therefore, Stokes threw the coin. Head was called by Cummins. Tails was the actual winning toss. Meant that England were had won the toss and they had elected to bat. So Australia's coming out. Of course, no Stark. They've only got, well, not only, but they've got Hazelwood, Boland, and Cummins to bowl with Lyon, and Green as a backup. They've got, compared to England, who have actually got Ollie Robinson and the like, with both Anderson and Broad, and Moeen Ali coming into bowl, and Ben Stokes capable of bowling. So Australia are out there. The Cummins, they're all out there. The Smith looks like he's got a new hat. Ollie Pope's got his pads on, which is his first job. He's got to have his pads on, I guess. There's a black armband on the English players. Ben Stokes he's a bit of a neck loosener. Well tattooed as he always is. Great scenes of the ground there at Edgbaston, Birmingham. And Broad looking very serious. He'll be opening the bowling there with Anderson, you would imagine. And Ollie Robinson coming in as the third bowl. They got potent attack, I would have to say. So both Crawley and Ben Duckett have both got their pads on, along with Pope. Moeen Ali must be wondering how he's there. 2 minutes ago, he wasn't playing any form of cricket at all, and now he's right back in the test seat. Cummins, Smith, Warner, Khawaja, Labuschagne there, I can see. Cummins looks a little bit apprehensive, if you ask me. There it is, Cummins, Smith, Warner, Khawaja, Labuschagne, all lined up there. Bit of a pecking order. A lot of Australians in the crowd. I think of the IST tour, or I think it's called this, with Merv Hughes. And we've got a lovely looking lady singing the England anthem. No, it's actually she's singing the Australian anthem. That's been sung first. You can see Khawaja there, Labuschagne, Alex Carey, Cameron Green looks towering, man. Travis Head, Nathan Lyon, Boland. No Stark. Stark's sitting out 12th man. Well, effectively, not the team. Boland, and after Boland is Hazelwood. And Stark is not there. Intriguing. Intriguing indeed. It was always said to be Hazelwood or Boland, but no, it wasn't that at all. It was Boland and Stark, effectively. Well, Hazelwood and Stark. And Cummins literally holds his position because he's the captain. I'm not sure there's really... Pitch looks totally white. And with Crawley, Duckett, Anderson, Root, Bairstow, Broad, Owen Ali coming in there, Ollie Robinson, Ollie Pope, and Ben Stokes. Now, Ben Stokes is the captain. Ollie Pope is the vice captain, number 3 batter. He's deemed to be the vice captain of England. Very positive move. Ben Duckett looks very relaxed. Ben Stokes, proving to be a great captain for England. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think the clapping's all over. We've actually got the match starting in 2 minutes' time. Got a few people watching today. Yvonne from Kenya. Mark Taylor out in the field. Louise Ranson, the host. No idea who she is. Norman, have you closed the YouTube comment? No, I haven't. I haven't. Norman, have you closed the YouTube comment? No, I haven't. No, start your my thoughts through and V. My thoughts are pretty clear. I think Stark wasn't bowling well. Okay, so I do understand why they didn't put him there through and V. I do get that. I would argue that Hazelwood's not yet really proven to be fit, and that's the danger. It's taken a massive risk. I would have kept the WTC team for this match, and they haven't done that. So I can see Crawley and Stark walking out the bowl now. It's for this match, and they haven't done that. So I can see Crawley and Stark walking out the bowl now. It's certainly. For this match, I'm going to pick photograph. This is a lovely photograph of the two teams. And I'll just get that placed. I do like that. And get that done for us. And I'll just. Well, there we have it. I think it's quite an impressive looking photograph, quite frankly. It's going to be a very, very interesting start to the match. There's no doubt about that and, at all. This is exciting as hell, actually. I'm very, very excited about this. I'm going to post this, move it over there, get the post done. We're still looking at what's on 1 minute 17 start of this match. Here we go. I don't know what they actually sent us the England. I haven't got what they got, whether we got the England team sheets. I don't think we did. Shapali's there. What's Crispin? Okay. Ball innings. Crawley's just hit comes to the boundary. That's about as emphatic as you can get. It's the way to go to start a series. Second ball. Comes out in the bowling. It's been smacked for 4 in the first ball. There we have it. Beautiful shot. Ben Stokes is very happy with that first shot of the day. So we'll finish now by telling you that Australia lost the toss. England won the toss, elected to bat first. England's team was selected some 2 days ago with Mo Allen as our best on the side, Ollie Robinson, Lord Anderson. Australia decided their team or announced their team literally at the toss and had dropped Stark, bringing Hazel back for Stark, leaving Bowl and end. And otherwise, the team's unchanged from the World Test Championship. So there we have it. England first ball, Crawley hits for 4. So it's a great start for England. They're in the ascendancy. So, all right, guys, we'll say goodbye now. I'll see you later on. All the best. Please take care. And watch the performances during the match. We'll have, as I said, we'll have regular updates throughout the test series. The first test of the Ashes, Edgbaston, Birmingham, will joined by Reg Vernon, Chris Vernon. So gravity couldn't come, but they're all going to be there in England for the second test, the Ashes, starting on the 28th, which I'll be there for. So talk to me during the test, guys. Keep making comments. And look at my comments page. You'll see plenty of evidence there of updates as we go along. All the best.